So let's begin today's seminar. The topic that I have chosen, like I've mentioned before, is law of demand. The agenda for the session involves five main topics. It starts with introduction into the concepts of managerial economics with a quick definition of what it stands for and what are the principles and concepts that are important for our topic. Next, we'll be moving on to the law of demand and how it relates to supply, quantity, and price. From here, it raises a questions on what are the determinants or the factors of demand. We answer this question and end up in the fourth topic, which is the elasticity of demand and its importance, followed by the role of elasticity in managerial decisions. Let's get started. So before I continue with the presentation, I want to quickly quote this sentence from Thomas Carl. And this is one of the quotes that stood out to me in recent times when I came across an article in the economic field. Teacher parrot the terms supply and demand, and you have got an economist. What does this quote mean for us? Supply and demand are two fundamental principles that governs the every aspect of managerial economics. Therefore, anyone who understands the concepts that underline supply and demand, how it relates to the quantities and commodities in market and how we can capitalize on it, once a proper understanding is reached, anyone can be a great economist. Let's continue. So, introduction. What is managerial economics? It can be called a subfield of economics branch that focuses on the principles to guide an organization in decision making. It deals with informed decisions or judgments about distribution of scarce resources using economics theories and concepts. This is important to make many decisions at a company level because every decision that a company takes involves a certain factor of risk because it's forecasting. In order to mitigate the losses enabled by these risks, it's important to understand the managerial economics aspect of the business to make the right decisions. It operates at both macro and microeconomic levels. In macroeconomics, the most fundamental key concept is the law of supply and demand. Let's explore what this means for us. One of the most fundamental ideas in economics, like I said before, is the law of demand. It explains how market economies distributes resources and set the prices of goods and services that we see in daily transactions. This is in accordance with the law of supply. In law of demand, the quantity bought varies inversely with price, which means if a demand for a commodity in market is high, then its price is likely to be low, and vice versa. This happens mainly due to declining marginal utility. One could say that law of demand is a derivative of declining marginal utility. The most pressing demands first are given higher importance in society, and the each individual additional unit that is added to this uh, hierarchy of goods, each has lower value attached to it. For example, consider a castaway stuck in a deserted island. The first bottle of water that you give it to him would probably be used for the most urgent basic need that the castaway has, which is to quench his thirst. Next, the second bottle that is given to him would be used for another reason, which is much less prioritized than the first one and much less urgent one. For example, bathing and cleansing himself in order to stay clean and disease free. The third bottle that is given to him would probably be used to boil and cook the food that is required for him to survive. The last bottle that we give it to him would be used for leisure activities like growing a plant or a bush to keep him company in the desert island. So, what do we understand from this? In other words, the castaway values each additional bottle less than before. In society or in our practical day to day terms, if we see, we can observe that each extra unit of any given commodity or service that a customer buys will be used for a less valuable purpose than the one before. This indicates that each value additional unit less and less as time goes on. So, the more units of a good that consumers buy, the less they are willing to pay in terms of price. Now, what is a market demand curve? By adding up all the units of a good that consumers are willing to buy at any given price, we come up with something called as the market demand curve that can be seen in the picture here. In the picture, as it suggests, Q0 and Q1 are the quantities, whereas P1 and P0 are the prices. For Q0, the corresponding price P0 is high because the quantity is less. Similarly, for a greater quantity at Q1, the price is much lesser at P1. This tells us that at higher prices, consumers demand less of the good, and at lower prices, they demand more. They are inversely proportional to each other. Now, what are the determinants of demand? There are five main determinants: price of good or service, income of buyers, prices of related goods and services, taste of preferences of consumers that drive demand, and consumer expectations about whether prices for the product will rise or fall in the future. These are very important to understand before making a decision about a product launch. Elasticity. Now, what is elasticity? Elasticity is simply a variable measure. It can be defined as something that tells us about the change in demand when the price or other factors change. One of the most common examples is a change in price. Most of the economists are concerned with the price elasticity. If the price of a good or service changes, elasticity of demand would measure how the change in price affects the demand for the good or service. Price elasticity is percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in the price. We have five types of price elasticity of demand. It is important because of the following reasons. It helps businesses fix the price of their products, maximize profits, helps in pricing a substitute, and can learn how to allocate the cost of production when they know the price elasticity of demand. These are very crucial to a business and an economist point of view. How is it playing a role in the managerial decisions? Economics computes several different elasticity measures, including price elasticity of supply, demand, income elasticity, etc. It is important to know the extent to which a percentage increase in unit prices will affect the demand for a product. With elastic demand, the total revenue will decrease. However, with inelastic demand, total revenue will increase if the price is raised. This is important to understand to make a good judgment. Elasticity of demand can help a business predict how much revenue a product will generate under certain market circumstances. Knowing how much money your business might make a given specific price bound and can help you make informed decisions. This helps in mitigating risk or losses as a consequence. Thank you.